Franklin Ridge wasn't the kind of place where bad things happened. It was the picture of suburban bliss. Perfect lawns, kids riding bikes, and neighbors who actually knew each other's names. But in 2012, this idyllic little town became the backdrop for one of the most horrifying stories I've ever heard. It's a story about trust, deception, and the kind of evil you never see coming. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the residents of Franklin Ridge may never feel safe again. It all started with two hikers who were walking a popular trail just outside town. It was late afternoon, the sun was low and the forest was eerily quiet. About halfway through their hike they noticed something odd, a patch of dirt that didn't look quite right. It was loose, disturbed, like someone had dug there recently. Curious, they started poking around, and that's when they uncovered something they'll never forget. A human hand sticking out of the dirt. They called the police, who arrived and excavated the site. What they found was the body of 27-year-old Sarah Clark, a local woman who had gone missing 3 weeks earlier. Sarah was a vibrant, outgoing woman who worked as a veterinary assistant. She was well loved by her friends and family, and when she disappeared after a date with someone she met online, everyone feared the worst. But even then, no one could have imagined the truth. The police had very little to go on. Sarah's body showed signs of a violent struggle, and her wrists were bound with rope. But other than that, there were no clues, no DNA, no personal belongings, nothing to point to a suspect. All they had was one haunting detail. Sarah was still wearing a silver bracelet engraved with the word hope. As detectives dug into the case, they realized that Sarah's murder wasn't unique. Over the past 5 years, 3 other women in the area had vanished under similar circumstances. All were young, outgoing, and had been using online dating apps before they disappeared. And now, the police were starting to believe they were dealing with something much worse, a serial predator. Each of these women was last seen meeting someone they'd connected with online. None of them ever came home. But what really terrified investigators was how clean the crimes were. Whoever was doing this was careful, methodical, and impossible to trace. Sarah's case went cold until detectives took a closer look at her bracelet. It had been custom-made by a local jeweler, and when they questioned the shop owner, they got their first real lead. He remembered a man coming into his shop weeks before Sarah's disappearance asking about a nearly identical bracelet. The man said it was a gift for his wife, and the jeweler didn't think much of it at the time. But now, his description of the man would prove invaluable. Detectives matched the jeweler's description to footage from the bar where Sarah was last seen. In the background, a man can be seen sitting at the bar, watching her. He never approached her, but when she left, so did he. At first, police couldn't believe who they had identified. The man in the footage wasn't some drifter or known criminal. It was John Harmon, a beloved father, husband, and soccer coach who lived right in the heart of Franklin Ridge. He was the last person anyone would have suspected. But as the police would soon learn, John Harmon was living a double life. When police searched John's home, they found a locked cabinet hidden in his basement. Inside, they uncovered a collection of items that would make your skin crawl. Personal belongings from Sarah and the other victims, including jewelry, hairbrushes, and even handwritten notes. Each item was carefully labeled, almost like a twisted trophy collection. But the most disturbing discovery was a series of journals where John had detailed each of his murders. He wrote about how he'd chosen his victims, how he gained their trust, and how he ended their lives. He even described the way he staged their disappearances to throw off investigators. Using the information in the journals, police located additional burial sites, uncovering the remains of more women who had been reported missing. Each victim had been bound, brutalized, and left in isolated locations, ensuring they wouldn't be found for months, or even years. When news broke about John Harmon's arrest, Franklin Ridge was thrown into chaos. How could a man who seemed so normal, so trustworthy, be capable of such horrifying crimes? His wife and children were devastated, and neighbors were left questioning how they hadn't seen the signs. In court, John showed no remorse. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But even now, questions remain. How many more victims were there? And how could someone live 2 completely separate lives for so long without getting caught? So what do you think? Was John Harmon a cold, calculated killer who thrived on deception, or was there something even deeper driving his actions? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this type of story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.